everyone. I'd like to share a message of hope from my heart to yours, and I thank you kindly for your attention. It's now been over 3 weeks since the unthinkable has happened. In the wake of Hurricane Helene, our beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains of southern Appalachia in western North Carolina have been steeped in overwhelming sadness, devastation, and a complete state of shock and despair. For those of you who aren't here to witness this, I don't think you will see in the news just how bad it really is. But many beautiful people have lost absolutely everything. Many have perished, and many are still missing and unaccounted for. This historic storm unleashed torrential rainfall, with some areas receiving over 30 inches of rain, resulting in catastrophic flooding. The sheer volume of water was unreal. It started raining where I am on Wednesday, September 25th, before the storm even got here, and it just never stopped. Then, by late Thursday night and early Friday morning, when Helene finally arrived, we were already flooded. No one was at all prepared for what would happen next. Usually hurricanes lose strength after hitting land, but this immense monster was so intensely powerful that even after climbing 4 states north, it hit with a vengeance, and none of us were expecting what occurred. I myself figured, like most did, we'd have flooding and probably even tornadoes. But by Thursday night, when I saw that the French Broad River was cresting close to 25 feet above normal range, I just knew we were in trouble. And early Friday morning, we all woke to the absolute worst scenario possible. Entire towns were completely washed away, leaving behind unimaginable destruction. And when I say completely washed away, I mean just that. None of us have seen anything like it. The immense force of the water coming down the mountains literally carved rivers out of nothing and took with it anything and everything in its path. I'm talking entire homes lifted up off their foundation, flying downstream like high-speed boats. Giant trees uprooted and tossed around like pieces of crumbled paper. Buildings, barns, cars, trucks, buses, even semis and big machine equipment went flying. And unfortunately, so did many beautiful and unsuspecting people, children, and animals. We have all cried many tears of incredible sadness and empathy as these horrors have unfolded before our eyes. People losing family members right in front of them, completely helpless to the unimaginable forces and strength of the water and the storm. Then, with the loss of electricity, coupled with absolutely no internet, no cell phone service, and no communications of any kind, and literally having no idea what was happening for several days straight. In a world where we are all so connected to constant information 24/7, it literally felt like we were thrown back into the Stone Age. No tech and no way to communicate with anyone. And also, most unfortunately, no way for anyone to call for help. They are calling it a once-in-a-thousand-year event. I think they are saying this because they just don't know how else to express the extreme severity of what has happened. In comparison, they have referred to Hurricane Katrina that hit New Orleans in 2005, a once-in-a-400-year event. The horrors of this incident are now marked in all of our memories and our broken hearts. The sights and the smells are that of nightmares. I'm showing this footage that I have gathered from multiple sources so that you can see some of what has happened. Because honestly, without the visual accounts, it's very hard to imagine the unimaginable. Especially the astronomical amount of water and damage that has occurred. So much is destroyed, and even over 3 weeks later, Many cities and towns look like war zones. I thought being at ground zero on 9/11 was bad, and that I would never see that kind of destruction again. Well, guess what? It looks exactly the same here. Like bombs have gone off everywhere. The only difference being that the explosions from 9/11 were contained in a relatively small area of Lower Manhattan. But here, the destruction is spread out over 20 counties, including so many cities and towns. Some of the military personnel that are here to help have said that this looks to them a lot like Baghdad or Afghanistan, but with a lot more trees. Those who are on the outside looking in have asked, why didn't people just evacuate? Well, a lot of folks never even got a warning or notice to evacuate. And the few of those who did only had about 15 minutes to do so. With the flooding already so very bad at this point, streets flooded, downed trees blocking roads, bridges washed out, where was anyone supposed to even go? It seems even with today's advanced weather forecasting technology that no one knew this was going to be so bad. Locals figured it would flood like it does from time to time. But with no one saying anything different, nobody knew just how bad it was going to be. I've lived on the Gulf Coast of both Texas and Florida, and have been in many very bad hurricanes throughout my life. So I'm used to getting serious warnings days in advance to leave, and sometimes to even evacuate, even up to the day before the storm hitting. Most of the time, we'd be told if you don't leave, you're on your own. But I personally don't know of anyone who got any such warnings here, including myself. I was glued to a very well-known storm chaser and tracker on YouTube named Ryan Hall Y'all. And interestingly enough, very late Thursday night, as Helene was making her way up through Florida and Georgia, someone asked in his live chat, "What about the Appalachian Mountains?" To which he replied, "If I was there, I would run now and fast." And boy, was he right. The few folks I've seen on social media who said that they did see or get some kind of an evacuation notice, they said it was already too late to get anywhere. Everything was flooding and most places had no way out. Unlike any hurricane I've ever seen in Florida or Texas, where everything is flat, these mountains bounced around this storm like a very bad dream on steroids. And all that water, rushing down from the tops of mountains, rivers, creeks, and lakes, massively expanding and overflowing unlike ever seen before. Several dams broke or even let loose, taking everything along with it at unholy speeds and forces that are almost incomprehensible. Then there were the avalanches, mudslides, and rivers literally forming right in front of your eyes, taking everything in their path with them. The mountainous terrain mixed with utter destruction has made recovery efforts very challenging, to say the least, with so many people missing and others found up high in tall trees, on rooftops, deep under piles of debris, packed under massive amounts of mud, and even many bodies washing up on the sides of rivers and in lakes and other unthinkable places. And then there were so many that were still alive but stranded without food, water, or shelter, or any way to communicate where they were and call for help. And that went on for many days. But thanks to the love of so many caring souls who have come here from all over our beautiful country to help in the recovery, it has been an immense spark of comfort and hope. People helping people. This is what it's all about. In times like these, we are quickly reminded that we really do love one another, and no matter who you are or what you believe in, regardless of your race, creed, culture, religious, or even political affiliation, we do everything we can to help one another like family. This is also what I witnessed on 9/11. In New York City, which is one of the most diverse and densely populated places on the planet, a true melting pot And again, everyone banded together to help one another without judgment and armed only with love. And that was the glue that held us together and got us through those horrible times. And it's what's getting us all through this time, now. Friends, neighbors, strangers alike, this is the true essence of what we really are. Please never forget that. I'm reminded of Emily Dickinson in one of her poems she wrote. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. These beautiful mountains are more than just a landscape. They are ancient and alive, with a quiet yet powerful presence, steeped in rich history, biodiversity, and mystery. The Blue Ridge Mountains in southern Appalachia are home to over 4,000 species of plants, waterfalls that flow like whispers of the past, and a resilient culture preserved by generations of Appalachian people. This land has a mystical energy woven into the fabric of its forests, streams, rivers, and the very rocks beneath our feet. While the devastation is immense, the spirit of this region and its people remains unbroken. Like many, my connection to the land runs deep. And just as these mountains have endured for millions of years, so too will our community of beautiful and strong people. Together we are committed to not only surviving, but thriving in the face of this tragedy. We will rebuild and hold each other along the way. Though the road to recovery will be long, with love, hope, and resilience, we, the people of Appalachia, will rebuild and find strength in the beauty and magic of our homeland. But I'd just like to say this. We do need your continued love and prayers. Prayers for those suffering great loss. Prayers of gratitude and support for all the wonderful people who are helping in every way that they can, day after day. Prayers of protection so that the land developers won't swarm in and grab up our cherished land and historic homes and buildings. None of us want that. And prayers for all of the survivors, not just here, but for all those hit by Helene in eastern Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and all of our beloved folks out west battling terrible fires and flooding, and anyone affected by these awful storms and disasters. We also need prayers and help to clean up this destruction. As Helene's immediate impacts begin to recede, we have a serious public health threat rising in its place. Today, on October 22nd, as I am recording this, 20 days after Helene hit, over 100,000 people still lack potable water. The serious lack of clean water stretches far beyond the city of Asheville and nearby mountain communities of Swannanoa and Black Mountain. And even as federal and state officials have been sending water, the supplies are very limited and it's just not enough. Even as some service is restored, locals are being told to boil anything that doesn't come out of a bottle. Even as hundreds of thousands of people continue digging out from the devastation now, the risk of disease and toxic sickness is mounting. The shortage of potable water and the toxic stew of sewage and many other pollutants and toxic chemicals that the flood has left behind has prompted a race to avert a public health crisis here in western North Carolina. So as the cleanup continues, so much work needs to be done. We have a real environmental disaster here as well. The floodwaters were filled with sewage, gasoline, propane, oil, and many toxic chemicals. We've had no rain since the storm, and there is this layer of dried muck everywhere. It not only serves as a terrible reminder of how high the waters were, but of all the toxins left behind and in the air as the cleanup takes place. Some people even had to wear hazmat suits to just clean out their homes and buildings, or even when shoveling layers of mud and toxic waste. With so many without clean water to drink, let alone use for cleaning, and not even water to flush toilets. So what can you do? Each of us has a very powerful superpower. Our ability to send intention through thought, prayer, and focused energy is a vibration that ripples out from our heart, sending the current of love and protection and healing, and it's one of the most powerful things we can do in human form. So please don't ever think it's not enough or that you're too far away. It's powerful beyond measure, and it's one of the greatest gifts of love and support we can give. The time of thinking that the unthinkable can't happen is over. Southern Appalachia just got hit with what was never thought possible, and it will surely go down as one of the worst natural disasters ever recorded in U.S. history. In these times, anything is not only possible, but it has changed from a what if to a when. So please, I beg that you be mindful of this serious wake-up call. It no longer matters where you live in the world. You are not immune. This is not meant to put you in fear, but to urge you to step into your power now and get your house in order. These are times unlike any that we have ever known, with continued threats of hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires, and with many earthquakes yet to come. Natural and unnatural disasters are and will be common occurrences for everyone. And it's not just disasters that are an issue. We have several other factors to be mindful of as well. The sun is in solar maximum now until the middle of 2025 and has been shooting off X-flares left and right. There are several places at war around the world, and even cyber-related threats are imminent. Even the unfortunate divisions within our own country can create civil unrest. All of these things could potentially take down our grid and communications, and this reality is something everyone should be prepared for. Stand strong in your own power, and please get your house in order. Do this without fear or being in a state of panic. Just be smart and mindful that we live in a time where many things can bring down our grid, and we should all be prepared for that. My name is Tanya, and I moved to the mountains of Western North Carolina 17 years ago, after these mountains literally called me to come here. I've met many folks who have said the exact same thing. The magic and ancient memory held in the water and the quartz of these mountains helps us to heal and remember what we have forgotten. Only after moving here I would discover that I have an ancestral connection to this area as well, which has only made my love for this land grow stronger. I've lived in Asheville, Hendersonville, Marshall, Alexander, Weaverville, Woodfin, Clyde, and ended up finding my perfect spot where I live now, in Transylvania County, about 30 minutes south of Asheville. It's called the Land of Waterfalls here because we have over 250 in this county alone. To say that this land is special is a massive understatement. And for those of us who call these mountains home, we do so because of its magic and our love of nature.
Across the Blue Ridge Mountains to the Allegheny.
A few days after the storm, my beautiful brother suggested I sit down and write a poem, not just to help me express both my love of these mountains and my sadness, but to also share it with others. So I'd like to read it to you now. I'm calling it Beneath These Ancient Mountains' Tears. The skies broke open, fierce and wild. Helene roared upon our hills, a torrent born of wind and rain, unleashing chaos in the stills. The rivers swelled, the hollers wept, our mountains bowed beneath the flood. Towns erased, homes torn away, once thriving lives, now lost in mud. Yet in this land of ageless stone, where roots run deep and whispers grow, we feel the pulse of something more, a magic only we can know. For in the quiet of these blue-ridged hills, where emerald trees once danced in light, the heart of Appalachia beats strong, with love that shines through darkest night. The ancient earth that cradles us, she mourns yet holds us close and tight. She sings of healing in the storm, of courage rising, pure and bright. For though the storm has taken much, the soul of these hills still remains, and we, her people, stand as one, to weather through the fiercest pains. We'll rise again, we always do, like wildflowers after a springtime's rain. In every hand that reaches out, a promise that we'll heal again. So let us mourn what we have lost, but let us hold on strong and true, for in the love we share right now, together we'll find skies of blue. And in these mountains, old and wise, where every stone is bound with grace, we'll build anew, we'll thrive again, with hope that none can displace. Thank you for your time and for sharing in this expression with me, and for joining me in sending vibrations of healing energy and love to all that need it. Let us remember that at the end of every day, all we have is each other. May you be blessed with the knowledge of a sage and the wisdom of a child, always in love.
The situations portrayed in this program are very dangerous. They have been performed by trained professionals in order to replicate worst-case scenarios of real-life hazards. Viewers should not, under any circumstances, attempt to replicate any of the situations presented in the program. Coming up on House Hazards.
3, 2, 1!
Nature's fury is unleashed. Floods, hail, fire, and even snow. The team is braving the elements and the hazards they cause. Home, sweet home. Well, not as sweet as you might think. Your house is really out to get you. There are thousands of hazards hiding in every home, and our team of experts will separate the fiction from the facts so you can avoid domestic meltdown. Scientist Francesca will expose the hidden dangers lurking in every home. Engineer Dan will show you how everyday appliances can turn from labor-saving to life-threatening. And special effects expert Brendan will recreate the worst-case scenario. Over its lifespan, a house will face all different kinds of hazards, and this house has seen most of them.
That house is in rough shape.
But while we can prevent many of these disasters from happening, others are in the hands of Mother Nature, and it's up to us to protect ourselves as best we can.
Ready?
Yeah. Bring the platform in right above the buckets. Brendan, I'm in the tree right now. Can you try to negotiate a little better, please?
Today, the team is going to test how well we're protected from two hazards that together cause over $10 billion a year in damages.
Easy does it, Brendan.
When Mother Nature wants to be, she can be very hazardous. From tornadoes to earthquakes to avalanches. But today, we're gonna see which is worse, a hailstorm or a flood.
First up is a hailstorm. Hail forms when ice from storm clouds begins melting into rain. If an updraft of wind draws it back up, it refreezes, adding an extra layer of ice, creating the hailstone. As this cycle of thawing and refreezing repeats itself, the hailstone grows until eventually there are large chunks of ice falling from the sky. To demonstrate the trouble that a hailstorm can cause, Francesca's planned a full-on assault. Dan and Brendan will be firing a pair of high-powered industrial vacuums filled to the brim with salt rocks, simulating the average hailstone. On the telehandler, 2 air cannons loaded with dozens of golf balls have been rigged to launch directly at the house, replicating a very destructive hailstorm. And finally, Francesca's gearing up. She'll be shooting frozen paintballs out of a semi-automatic .50 caliber paintball gun.
It'll simulate about the same speed and impact that quarter-size hailstones would have.
Her target is the front of the house, complete with glass door and awning.
The awning is made out of the 3 most common roofing materials: aluminum, shingles, and vinyl.
The roof is our first line of defense against the elements, which means it's also the first to get damaged. The team wants to know which material can withstand the hailstorm best and which one will cost insurers the most.
Okay, go for it.
Hailstorms are rated on a scale ranging from 0 to 10, based on the size and speed of the stones, plus the storm's intensity. A storm with a rating of 10 can last for hours, and Francesca doesn't have enough golf balls for that. So instead, she's going to deliver a combination of a 2, 3, and 5 rated hailstorm all at once.
That was beautiful. It was like
Hailstorm.
violent Christmas snow.
Even though Francesca's paintballs were small, they were traveling close to the top speed a hailstone can reach, almost 200 kilometers an hour, easily breaking through the glass door.
You took care of the door.
I did, didn't I? And the windows.
Meanwhile, traveling at an average speed of 32 kilometers per hour, the larger salt rocks proved no match for any of the roofing materials. But then, there were the golf balls, traveling at 120 kilometers an hour with a collective weight of 7 kilograms.
Definitely a lot of damage. The vinyl stood up pretty well. The asphalt shingles look pretty good. It's the aluminum that is really, really banged up. This awning has seen better days.
I appreciate why you wanted to do this. It demonstrated hail well, but mine's much more simple, and it's much more destructive.
Brendan's test takes 200 lives every year and is the leading cause of weather-related deaths in North America. Behold, the flash flood. A flash flood occurs when heavy rains dump so much water it's impossible for the ground to absorb it all. The remaining water accumulates, rapidly flowing downhill, often in the path of houses, which Brendan is about to demonstrate.
I've got 3 dump tanks up here. Each dump tank holds about 100 gallons of water. So when I pull them all at once, I got 300 gallons of water aimed straight at the front door.
Into the tanks, Brendan adds another ingredient to the potential watery devastation: debris.
It's the kind of stuff that would actually get picked up during a flash flood.
During a flood, large objects such as these are propelled by the force of the water, ramping up the damage. It's all aimed at the house.
Are you guys ready in there?
All right, bring on the flood.
Flash floods arrive without much warning, with the storms often miles away from the flood path. And just like a real flood, anyone still inside this house would have no way of knowing that hundreds of gallons per second were about to be unleashed on their front door.
All right, here we go. And 3, 2, 1, go!
This is like 300, 400 gallons just devastating the house.
And this is when it came to a full stop. Imagine this was a real flood. It would have kept coming and coming and coming.
If this were your home, there's almost nothing you could do to prevent this devastation. Flash flood like this could lay waste to your entire house. And even worse, you'd have almost no warning before it happened.
What do you think?
This is absolute destruction. Francesca's hailstorm looked spectacular, but it didn't really cause much damage. Brendan's flood, however, wreaked havoc on our door, on our front entrance, and on our basement. In the battle of hail versus flood, I gotta give it to flood.
Under the hot sun, the last thing you'd think of is a snowstorm. But snow can be your house's worst enemy. Catastrophic winter storms strike North America every year, causing over $700 million in damages. And most of it impacts the spot right over your head.
Today we're testing to see just how hazardous it is when too much snow collects on your roof.
Most roofs are designed to support a snow load of 50 to 100 kilograms per square meter. However, a winter storm is often accompanied by strong winds that can cause snow to drift, creating isolated accumulations that overburden the roof structure.
We don't have a snowstorm today, but what we do have is gravel and a huge conveyor belt.
Okay, bring it in.
At more than 2.5 times the weight of snow, the team shouldn't need much gravel to cause a breach. And by using the conveyor belt, they'll be able to focus it onto one spot, replicating a roof-busting snowdrift.
Okay, cool, good, that's good.
With everything in place, Brendan starts the snowstorm.
Take it easy, go slow.
As they get older, most roofs develop weak spots, and it's here that the team is aiming the gravel. If the roof is going to collapse, this is where it will happen.
The front here, where all the water's pooling, that means that our roof has already started to bow. And that's exactly where we want our gravel to land.
The pile has almost reached the equivalent of 1 cubic meter of snow. Including the weight of the water, this is well past the 300 kilogram per square meter capacity of the roof. But the house is yet to creak.
And... guys, this is not working for us, right? Those beams up there are double joist, and they run the entire span of the roof.
Built like a tank, this house is putting up a fight. If the team wants to simulate a real disaster, they'll need to focus their assault on the inside. But before they do, Dan has another winter remedy that might cause more harm than help. The space heater. Like a little fireplace, it provides supplemental heat throughout the long winter nights. But just like its flame-filled counterpart, this thing's also a killer, 54 times more likely to be lethal than a central heating system.
Whenever you've got a heating element with combustible materials, there's potential for hazard.
A space heater uses metal coils to convert an electrical current into heat. As the coil charges up, it radiates that heat, and a fan behind blows the hot air into the room.
Space heater's been running for about 20 minutes. To the naked eye, it doesn't seem that hot. But when you put the thermal imaging camera on it, you can tell the coils are above 340 degrees Celsius. Now the obvious hazard. What happens when the space heater gets knocked over? It turned off because every space heater has built-in safety mechanisms. To show you how truly hazardous this can be, I'm gonna have to disable them.
New space heaters come with 3 different safety features. A grate, which keeps objects from touching the heated coils. A tipping sensor, which uses gravity and a counterweight to interrupt the power if the space heater is not standing vertically. And finally, the thermostat, which keeps the heater from burning things up.
This is the on and off knob, but it also has a built-in thermostat. That's why I have to take out the entire thing in order to make this work. With the modifications I've made to this space heater, it's become a real hazard. So to show you a real-life scenario, I've modified 2 more. It's not uncommon for people to use multiple space heaters in one room, and they often put them in very unsafe places. Whoops.
With the malfunctioning heaters now inches away from the highly flammable bedroom materials, Dan has created quite the fire hazard. Exactly the circumstances for a bedtime inferno.
One less fan.
It doesn't take long for things to heat up.
Oh. Whoa. The bed is officially on fire.
Just 5 minutes in, the overheated coils burn out the fans, but the hazards are far from finished.
The carpet one's making a lot of smoke, but the only fire we got is coming out of the bed.
Not only has the fire erupted out of control, but the fumes coming from the nylon carpeting, polyester curtains, and cotton comforter are creating a toxic mix, just as deadly as the fire itself.
I'm gonna have to put this stuff out.
Let's not forget, the coils are still red hot.
Whoa, hey there. Oop-a-lie.
It's clearly time to pull the plug.
It's making really black smoke. I'm gonna put it out. Hey, this one's out. Hey, I'm not banging around here. All right, get out.
Oh my God, look at that smoke. There was a lot of smoke in there.
A heater might be designed with safety in mind, but it only takes minutes for a malfunction to become life-threatening.
The worst part about that fire is that it didn't make a sound. So if you were sleeping in that room, you would have been dead in 10 minutes.
Maybe this winter, try adding another blanket instead. The situations portrayed in this program are very dangerous. They have been performed by trained professionals in order to replicate worst-case scenarios of real-life hazards. Viewers should not, under any circumstances, attempt to replicate any of the situations presented in the program.
Keep it going. Okay, go, good, that's good.
The hazard team is putting aside the fact that it's summer to test how much snow it takes to collapse a roof.
Take it easy, go slow.
Using gravel, they're simulating a snowdrift buildup that's heavier than the average load capacity of a roof, 300 kilograms per square meter. But so far, it's holding strong.
Those beams up there are double joists and they run the entire span of the roof.
Whatever your climate, there are two basic types of roof construction. The pitched roof has a slope of 10 degrees or more. Once the snow load reaches a certain level, it will slide off under its own weight. The flat roof, however, needs to be much stronger, as the snow has nowhere to go, allowing for larger buildups that could be catastrophic. To compensate, builders sometimes reinforce these roofs to ensure they can withstand the extra force. Exactly why Dan suspects the roof is still standing.
Brendan, cut it, all right? Francesca, cut it, it's not working. Cut it. This is not working for us, all right? Nobody makes things like that anymore. They're way too strong. We're gonna need to compromise them.
That could happen in a real home. Poor carpentry, no maintenance.
Yeah, maybe there's a leak in the roof and they start to eat away at your beams. So we're gonna have to get in there. Let's
Now,
go.
With so much weight on the roof, going inside the house is a real hazard. So the guys have suited up and will only be making the minimum amount of changes necessary to simulate poor maintenance in a normal home. Once compromised, it's impossible to know how much snow a roof can support or for how long. And the guys don't want to find out the answer until they're back outside.
Do we do any more or do we go?
Let's do these two more and then we're good.
Dan! I think I can hear creaking.
With the joists weakening and 360 kilograms of gravel sitting on top, it's time for the team to get out of the building. But before the experiment can start back up, there's one more cold weather hazard Brendan wants to show you. When the temperatures plummet, many of us forget that our houses feel the effects of the cold as well. All it takes is a small crack in a water pipe, and as much as 950 liters of water a day could be seeping into your home, something 250,000 families experience under the harshest winter conditions every year. Allow Brendan to demonstrate.
Metal pipe filled with water. Liquid nitrogen. This is what happens when your pipes freeze in the winter.
At minus 196 degrees Celsius, Brendan's using liquid nitrogen to accelerate the freezing process of a harsh winter night. In only a few minutes, the liquid nitrogen freezes the water trapped inside the pipe, which rapidly expands by 9%. And the result?
So you see that? You see the crack? That's what happens to solid cast iron when it freezes in the winter. It cracks your pipes. That's the power of the frozen water in your pipes.
Cracked pipes on average cost homeowners $6,000 in repair bills. But it's easy to avoid by insulating the pipes, installing heat tape, and even letting a tap drip on an extra cold night.
Now what do I do with all this liquid nitrogen?
Liquid nitrogen is a cryogenic fluid that boils at minus 196 degrees Celsius. Anyone can buy it, and it's used in everything from science projects to preparing gourmet cuisine. But don't underestimate its danger. This stuff can cause severe frostbite when exposed to skin. But Brendan wants to show how this cold substance can actually create a miniature weather system. When nitrogen hits the pool, its extremely low temperature causes the moisture in the air above to condense into clouds, forming a tiny tropical storm in the pool. Having weakened the joists, the team's 360-kilogram artificial snowdrift could collapse at any moment. But Mother Nature can still make this scenario a lot worse.
The second load is reaching the top.
Over a long winter, the hazard created by the team could easily sit undetected for months, weakening the beams further with each passing day.
Nice, guys. It's looking really good.
If another storm were to hit the house, it could be a family's worst nightmare. But the team's going to show just how bad a winter can get. On average, a city in North America suffers 5 winter storms a year. And while a roof may be able to take 1 or 2, unless the snow is cleared or allowed to melt, the weight will keep building.
Just keep going like that, guys. It's perfect.
Already past its maximum load limit, there's no way to tell if or for how long the roof will last.
Whoa! Guys, we are starting to have a collapse. The water is draining. It's important to remember that gravel is about 2.5 times denser than snow. So this represents a much bigger pile, but it still didn't take that much to start the roof collapsing. It's not completely down, but it's dropped a good 2 feet.
Look at all the water pouring in.
Pouring through.
Make no mistake, the breached roof is already a hazard, exposing the house and anyone inside to the severe cold of the winter. But nature can be very unforgiving, with snowfalls lasting for hours and hours. And so with that in mind, the team continues adding to the load.
Guys, I'm hearing some creaking.
With the equivalent of 3 cubic meters of snow on a single spot, it finally gives way, completely destroying one side of the house. While a hazard like this can be avoided, without proper roof maintenance and regular snow clearing, you could be left out in the cold.
What most people don't realize is if you have a flat roof and there's a lot of snow accumulation, this can be the end result.